Again, let's try this again. Okay, alright guys, welcome back to the party. It is race day for the Silverstone Grand Prix. The last race day in a good couple of weekends, so it better be a good one, and it looks like it's going to be a good one. I don't know what's going to happen over these next couple of hours, neither does anyone. Is it going to rain? Is it going to keep raining? Is it going to rain again? What does it mean for the race? I think in all likelihood, the way that it currently looks, it's probably going to be a wet start. It's probably going to dry up, but we'll see. I've got some weather radar to share with you all over the coming minutes, but welcome to the show. We have 59 minutes until the start of the British Grand Prix, until at least the start of the formation lap, which hopefully we get a proper racing start. I'm hopeful, I'm optimistic that we get a standing start. Hopefully from no safety car, none of that BS, but welcome back again. This is a picture on the left-hand side here from a couple of hours ago. I don't know if any of you guys watched the F3 race this morning or the F2 race, both of which were, let's just say, heavily rain affected. There was a lot of drama. My nose is really itchy, so I apologise for that. But welcome back. What's good, Jedi? Welcome from Australia. 1 a.m. in New Zealand. Wow, are you in for a good time? I've actually got a good friend in New Zealand who is a big Formula One fan, and he goes through hell to watch this sport. So I respect heavily anyone who watches this sport from, you know what? I'm lucky. I live in Europe. I live in the UK. It's the perfect time zone to watch F1. I appreciate it's not always ideal around the world, but thanks all for tuning in regardless. Alex says, can't see Max winning if it rains. I think the answer to that is it depends how much it rains. Max was very clear after yesterday that his setup is not ideal for the rain, but it is Max Verstappen, right? I don't think it's worth ruling that out. Any chance of delay, you can't completely rule it out. It is, after all, it's a wet start. You know what these stewards are like. They did red flag the F3, was it? The F3 got red flagged. So we'll see. And there's a couple of guys, I think that Russell said that their car is not good in the wet. The Ferrari is maybe not so good in the wet either, so we'll see. Welcome from Barbados, 9 a.m. in Peru, 9 a.m. in Eastern US. What's good? Great to see, Joe. Calls you Mr. Rob. I'll take being called Rob. It's okay. It's not my real name, but, it is what it is. I don't mind. Oh, yeah, good point, Ricky. I actually forgot to make the COD video live. Let me do that real quick. We're live on the show. If you guys want to go watch that one, most of you will not know what I'm talking about, and that is perfectly fine. Let's talk about today, because is it raining? Is it not going to rain? What's happening? I will just show you guys quickly as we start up the video. I'll start up the stream for the day. Let me go. You know what? I'll go full screen for this one. And let's make that actually appear. Here we go. So this is the weather radar for the day, and this is, can I go full screen? Yeah, this is probably better. Let's find the track. Toaster, Silverstone. This is the track. So let's go J for funsies for the $10. Appreciate the super chat. This is going to be epic. I don't disagree. Silverstone always delivers. It's the best track in the world, and that's British bias, but I don't care. And it always delivers. Great racing, great qualifying, great fans. Can't beat it. So this is right now the Silverstone track, and as it stands, there is no rain. It is just cloudy. To my understanding, this passage of rain just passed through, and if we zoom out for a second, you'll see that there is no more rain to come after this. So this, well, and obviously who knows, right? It's weather. I'm up here in Manchester right now, and it's just cloudy, right? So basically, if it's white, it's just cloudy and there's no rain. If it's green, then it's raining. So it's just stopped raining. Let me find the track again. It's just stopped raining in Silverstone, but it's going to rain again because you've got this whole band of rain coming in. I appreciate I'm moving around quite a lot here. Let me just quickly play the weather forward. So if I go play here, this is what's happened over the last couple of hours. So you guys can see 1 p.m, 1:30, 2 p.m. it kind of stopped a little bit, but then by 2:20, so in 15 minutes time, we're expecting rain back on the track, and potentially very heavy rain at that. So this is the expectation, and then by 2:40 it might be past. And then after that, it looks like maybe just cloudy. Although maybe not. Actually, you know what? Totally ignore me. I don't know what's going to happen. Point is, it is going to start raining again. And now I've got to find the track again, which is a challenge, but I think I can do it. There we go. So anyway, let me listen to what you guys have to say in the chat. Sheet says, what do you say in the intro of the videos? Thanks for the €5. Intrigued to hear your thoughts. Absolutely right. That is what I say. And I've said that for years. And as far as I'm concerned, it's a rite of passage if you watch a channel to learn what I'm saying. Thank you for 800 viewers already live in the chat, and we've been live for 5 minutes. But why have we only got 50 likes on the stream? I want to see it look like 800. But do appreciate you all tuning in today. Although I will say, there's one thing you can do to help out the channel, is like the videos. As a YouTube, if you talk to any person who does YouTube, they will like probably every video that they watch, they'll press the like button. I'm certainly like that. Anything else, it's the most important thing for the algorithm. So I do appreciate you all. Is it raining right now? The answer to that question, I think, is no. This is what we see live. And according to my weather radar here on accuweather.com, it is currently not raining, but it is still wet. The track is wet. And if you guys are literally just tuning in, this band of weather here is set to arrive on the track. So we'll come back to that in about 10-15 minutes when we see what's going on. And let's talk about what happened yesterday. I want to go through quickly what happened in qualifying. Locked in. What's good, everyone? Is it raining in Silverstone, Yusuf? It is currently not raining, although the track is wet. It is due to rain again in the next 15-20 minutes. Chris Medland says almost certainly a wet start. So we shall see. Maybe it is raining in the paddock. I don't know. I'm trying to keep an eye on what's happening there. It's almost certainly going to be a wet start. The track is soaked, says Kino. Yeah, I'm sure there's probably a couple of you guys watching this from the track, although maybe that's optimistic. But if you are watching this from the track, then please keep us updated on what's happening live from Silverstone. This is Lewis Hamilton today walking into the paddock. It's pretty funny how much difference lighting makes, because this picture's pretty cool, but like when you turn up the contrast, like, you know what I'm saying anyway. That's just photography, baby. But what we had yesterday was this. Max Verstappen on pole. Can you believe it? I mean, I definitely can believe it. I didn't expect it. Given where that car was on Friday, complete mess. I thought that, maybe they could get a car that was competent, but probably not a car good enough for Max to do what he did yesterday. But they ran a very low downforce setup, and they got away, like, Max can just make it work. And to be fair, that Red Bull all year, and even in previous years it's been true, but all year, is fast in the high speed. That's where they're just as quick, if not quicker, than the other cars, is through the high-speed corners. And Max is just able to take it through there. It seems that there is something to do with this new floor that is helping them. Dr. Robs mentioned it. I have a tweet. It is here. And he says that the new floor that Red Bull brought this weekend is delivering the performance that they want. Even Horner said this in an interview. He said that their floor is better, and it's giving them the downforce they want. So this is pretty big, right? This is big for Red Bull, because their new floor seems to give them more downforce to such an extent that they can take a low wing through Maggots and Beckett's. And actually, I think Max gained time on Piastri through Maggots and Beckett's yesterday. And he gained a ton of time down the straights, because that Red Bull is a rocket ship in a straight line. He's about 7 or 8 kph up on anyone else in a straight line. Now there's two things to this, because first of all, tough to overtake a car who's rapid in a straight line, obviously. Secondly, in the rain, you don't get DRS, so even more difficult. But what you do have is less grip, and generally one would consider that lower wing equals less grip, which is true, equals higher tyre degradation because the tyres slide more, which is true, and all of those factors are exacerbated in the wet. So Max actually said it. I've even got a quote right about here. Max says, tomorrow, do we want rain or not? No, no, absolutely not. Not with the wing we have on the car. We want it to be dry. It currently does not look like it's going to be dry, but it is Max Verstappen. So, you know, that's also the question here. Dallas Robot with the $9 New Zealand dollars. Never bet against Lewis at Silverstone. Never bet against Ferrari's incompetence. Thanks for your coverage on the season. Also, Apex better than COD. Don't necessarily disagree with that bit. You can never bet against Ferrari's incompetence, that's for sure. I don't know what Ferrari are cooking up today. Let's not forget, guys, they nearly got Hamilton knocked out in Q1 because they only did one fuel run, which was shocking. I don't know what they were thinking there. They got lucky that Hamilton even scraped through into Q2. So, you know, Ferrari are doing Ferrari things. Joshua says that it's sprinkling right now. Well, it's set to rain much harder over the next 10, 15 minutes. Rain's coming for the first 20 minutes according to the forecast. Yeah, there's a lot going on right now. There is a lot going on. The race has not been delayed, Travis, to my understanding. It may be delayed. I don't know. Hopefully it's not. Iceman said it's not raining anymore. So nobody knows what's going on out there. Nobody knows. Look, Max was the star of qualifying. I just wanted to share this video here. This is thanks to Formula Addict. If I go full screen... Actually, I won't go full screen. You guys can see what's going on anyway, just about. So, just to look at the lap time between Piastri and Max. Piastri was also very quick. I was impressed by Piastri getting right back up to speed because of he was, you know, let's say losing to Norris in every session for a while. Look how much Max pulls away here, by the way. Like, this is on the Wellington straight. It's actually not as much as I thought. On the, I haven't watched this yet. I did watch the Ghost one that the F1 account put out, and they seemed, on the Ghost that they did, there was a much bigger discrepancy. You can see it here. You can see it here. With DRS closed, you can see how much Max is seemingly able to pull away a bit on the straights. But what was impressive about Max's lap is that he actually pulls away through Cops, through Maggots, through Beckett's with a less loaded setup. Like, that was impressive. And that's impressive for Max, but it's also impressive for the Red Bull because, like, the Red Bull seemingly, their floor now might just be godlike. I don't know. They brought this floor upgrade. Max actually took it pretty easy through Stowe. He could have pushed that harder. And obviously he was always going to lose time through the final couple of corners through Club because he just was running less wing and it affects you in the lower speed corners. So Max just about holds on for pole. But it was, yeah, what a lap. And Lando was, what was he behind Oscar? Like 100th and a half, something like that. It was really close. Lando, again, though, he did make a mistake at that final corner. He took too much curb on the entry to Club, and it cost him, I want to say it cost Lando a 10th, probably. So that's a point. Yeah, Max, you're not wrong. Yuki did better. Yuki, honestly, I feel bad for Yuki. Let me find a clip real quick. Yuki Power? I don't know. I want to try and find this clip that he had yesterday. Yeah, so Yuki got through Q1 as we predicted. I think we predicted it in the chat yesterday that Yuki was going to get through Q1, was going to get into Q2, which he did. And he might have had Q3, but Yuki had an issue with his electrical unit, it seems. I don't know. That's what Yuki says. Horner seemed to confirm it as well, that he lost a lot of time because his battery just wasn't delivering the power that he expected on his final lap. So that was unlucky, but it definitely felt like Yuki was, you know, look, he wasn't where Max was, but he was at least competitive. I think that had Yuki got to Q3, maybe if he doesn't have the issue and he's half a second off Max, then all of a sudden it looks a bit more respectable. But maybe it goes to show to some extent that Red Bull have improved their car. I mean, look, Yuki was 12th, but it's better than 18th, and if not for this issue, Yuki thinks he would have at least been in the top 10. So maybe it shows that Red Bull have... I mean, look, they've obviously made progress since Friday. Their car was a pirate ship on Friday. Some of you guys liked that one yesterday. So we're going to keep going with that. That was how it went there. Honestly, apart from Max, the star of qualifying to me was... And I'm going to do it. It was George Russell. You got to talk about George Russell yesterday because... Yeah, Max delivered pole in a car that people will say shouldn't have been capable of pole. It is what it is. But Max's car on Friday was just terrible. Nobody denies it. But as soon as he went out on Saturday morning in FP3, he was right on the pace. Whereas George and both Mercedes drivers were struggling heavily with that car all weekends. And Russell turns up to qualifying and puts in a lap that put him... I mean, look, the headline number, Russell P4, doesn't sound like anything special. But Russell was 300ths off the front row in a Mercedes that looked really bad, like all weekends. So I think that was really impressive. Like George, yeah, it's only P4, and I know that people are going to say, oh, well, if Max was in the Mercedes, he would have had it on pole. It's like, okay, whatever, we're never going to know. But I know this is W Glaze, Adam. It is W Glaze, but I'm going to do it anyway, because I think Russell deserves the credit. Like, I know that, I just don't think people are talking about Russell's quali yesterday enough. Although, you could argue, and that's totally fair enough, as Wild Mountain says, maybe Ollie Behrman deserves the credit, because Behrman was rapid yesterday. I feel really bad for Ollie, because obviously you made that horrific... It was a terrible error, and he got punished for it badly in practice. But Behrman was just on fire yesterday. Like, even the lap that he does at the end, 6/10 off pole in a Haas, like, that is really quite something. But unfortunately, he's going to be starting 18th. So it is what it is. It is what it is. I think I missed a super chat. Rezo with the 5. What's up, Rob? Love your content. Been a long time viewer of the COD channel. Now this. Let's hope for a banger. Silverstone always delivers. I agree. Silverstone always delivers. It's the thing. People like Spa. Don't get me wrong. I like Spa as well. But if you look at Grand Prix, Silverstone is always a banger Grand Prix. So let's continue the discussion. Behrman deserves a lot of credit for yesterday. But like he did, he has made a couple of stupid mistakes. But at the end of the day, would I rather a fast driver and maybe a slightly questionable driver? Then absolutely. J for Funsies, sick of the George hate. He's top 5 minimum King George. I will just on that conversation, because Leclerc, now we're going to talk about Ferrari in a couple of seconds, because there's a lot of interesting things to say about Ferrari. What I will say is that Charles Leclerc was not happy with his lap yesterday. Charles says... I'm a fucking idiot, or whatever he said anyway. He wasn't happy. He said that he was terrible. But does that make a question? I don't know. Like, this was the post that I saw on George, and the poster says Leclerc may be slightly quicker, but George is absolutely ruthless in his execution. Along with Verstappen, he's the most inevitable qualifier on the grid, hands down. Will go down as an all-time quali great, I think was kind of the implication here, if given the tools. Which, do I disagree with that? I think there's some evidence to suggest it, because, again, Russell and that Mercedes were kind of nowhere all weekend, and out of nowhere in the final part of qualifying, he's a 10th off pole. That was... And yeah, it's P4, but for Russell to put it ahead of both of the Ferraris, that didn't even seem in the realms of possibility. But so how does he compare to Leclerc? I think, to me, George and Leclerc are very, very similar. But in terms of like how good they are, total, but they do have different strengths and weaknesses. And I think that, people always talk about Leclerc being master of qualifying and all this, which is totally justified. This season hasn't been quite as strong. Even Leclerc recognised that. But where does George sit? I don't know. Like, is George on a par with Leclerc? Is he worse than Leclerc? Is he better than Leclerc? I think it's pretty close. Ulid says rain, question mark. Okay, while you guys discuss that in the chat, I'm going to go back to the weather radar for those of you who are just joining today. This is the weather radar for Silverstone right now, and if we can find the track again, which is about here. Oh, it may be slightly raining on the track. So just to explain this, if it's white, it's just clouds. This is rain. It looks like it might be starting to rain again at the track. I don't know... I'm seeing Jensen Button standing on the grid, and it looks like it's currently not raining. Maybe there's a little bit of drizzle. But yeah, we're expecting anyway. This big band of rain is making its way through Silverstone. Let me just fast forward here. So 2:15, 2:20, 2:30. We are expecting this rain to come through in the next, 10, 20 minutes. We're expecting some rain on the track. The track currently looks still a bit damp as well, doesn't it? The track still looks pretty wet, actually. And it's maybe going to rain again. So I think it's almost inevitable that we're going to get a wet start at this point. I think it's pretty likely indeed we are going to get a wet start at this point. That's the track. There we go. We've done it again. So I'll just leave this on the screen for you guys for a second. Stroll Rainmaster P1. I want Russell versus Max in the same car. I mean, fireworks. Would be fireworks. No umbrellas out by the announcers. Yeah, that is true. Just finished watching the F1 movie. I felt like a kid seeing all the cameos and the accuracy. I left the cinema very happy. I enjoyed the F1 movie as well. There were some moments I thought, I actually laughed out loud at the crash at Monza. I thought it was hilarious because it was just so outrageous. Okay, you know what? Oh, and I missed it. They just on Sky Sports had a weather radar, which is slightly more sophisticated than my one, to be honest. But anyway, for now it's not raining. They're coming out on the reconnaissance lap right now. They use U tyres, a bit of a wrong image on Russell, as long as it's not a safety car start. Yeah, I think we're going to get a good feel here. So all the drivers are going out on inters to get a feel for the track right now. What has Russell done to deserve the praise in your opinion? I mean, I think that's pretty self-explanatory, right? Like, he teamed against Lewis Hamilton for 2 years at Mercedes, and 2 of the 3 years he beat him. Maybe there's some caveats there, but that's commendable enough. Like, the qualifying performance against Hamilton last year was... Obviously, it depends what you think of Hamilton nowadays to some degree, and also what you think of Antonelli. That's the question, really. But I think George just executes quite efficiently, which is why I quite like him. But yeah, there are plenty of caveats there. Merck is a race-winning car this year with multiple podiums. The car is good. Yeah, I agree the car is good, but this weekend the car was not good. Like, they were really struggling this weekend. Okay, if dry, we're looking at maybe a 1-stop, maybe a 2-stop. I think one of the McLaren drivers on the podium. Rab is your actual surname. If you don't mind, do you repair it? I don't mind people calling me Rab, it's fine. It's a gamer name at the end of the day. It is what it is. Max on the wrong car setup to win the race. Well, it depends. It does depend a little bit. Before we get back to the weather, I wanted to talk a little bit about Ferrari, because yesterday was an interesting day for them. I will say, by the way, a McLaren, like, can McLaren stop doing the underdog gimmick? Like, just one time. Can they please stop doing the underdog gimmick? Because Stella says, definitely, I have to say that looking at the lap times, Ferrari have been able to pull off. Ferrari seem like the strongest team. They probably are the strongest team. And Stella even said, which I thought was totally outrageous. Yeah, listen to this. I actually laughed when I read this. It looks like the upgrades that they've taken to Austria seem to have worked very well, which makes not only the Silverstone Grand Prix interesting because of how tight the situation is at the front of the grid, but I would also say interesting for the rest of the championship, especially with Ferrari. Like, is he forgetting that Ferrari are about 1 million points behind McLaren? Like, it's not a contest, right? Like, you can't pretend to me, Stella, that Ferrari are going to be fighting for the championship. Like, you are taking the piss, right? Whatever. It's McLaren doing McLaren things. Damn, you guys are saying the track is wet. Damn, the track is wet. Wow. Let me just give a little screenshot for you guys. The track, yeah, there's no way we're starting on dry tyres here. There is no way we're starting on dry tyres. These were the scenes on the broadcast a second ago. The track's definitely wet. It's definitely wet out there. It's going to be intermediates, and that's okay. It actually creates a really exciting start for the Grand Prix, to be honest. I think the races that are the best are the ones where it starts wet, or like, there is a period where they have to go from wet to dry tyres. That always makes the best races. People say, oh, rain makes the best races. Not always. If it's so wet that people get, I don't know, there's a safety car or the red flag happens or whatever. Like, you want it to rain, but you want it to rain just enough so that it keeps the entertainment value going. That creates the best weather. Like what happened in... What was it? I'm going to need to ban this guy, unfortunately. Qatar British Grand Prix on, I don't know, whatever website this is. Sorry, mate, you had your chance, and he's gone. Rest in peace. So, yeah, you remember Zandvoort a couple of years ago when it was complete chaos at the start of the race, and nobody knew when to pit exactly? That's what I'm talking about. Changing conditions are the best. Exactly. It's like last year's Silverstone race. It was raining. When's it going to dry? What's the best lap to pit? Because if you pit 1 lap difference, to when you should have pit, then you might lose 6-7 seconds, right? So I don't know if we're going to get a red flag. I'm very hopeful because it looks wet, but it's not devastatingly wet. Although Ocon's just had a radio message that said it's going to rain heavier in the next 5 minutes. So yeah, it's all going on. I think there's also a question like what car likes these conditions? Because George said that his car doesn't like these conditions, that Mercedes are better in the dry. Ferrari, I think, have said the same thing. I don't know. We'll see. Oh, here we go. We've got some weather radar. Let me bring it up on the screen. This is expected over the next few minutes. You know what? This is a question. Carbon M3 in the chat. Rain is the great equalizer. Do we think that is a myth? What do we think? I think there's some truth to that theory. But I don't really believe that personally. I actually think that it's not the great... I don't know. What do you think about that? It's not the great equalizer precisely. Because, okay, if my car has more downforce than your car, in the rain, that difference is actually exacerbated. Like, it should be even better. But it also exacerbates the difference in the driver's skill. So I think Joe's right. I think it's a half-truth. This is the weather radar at Silverstone. The wind is moving. The wind is a westerly wind. It's coming off the west. It is bringing the rain, the band on the left-hand side of your screen here, across the track. And damn, yeah, it is pretty tasty out there right now. It is raining hard at Silverstone. Okay, this is definitely going to be a wet start. And hopefully, though, wow, it's actually pissing it down now. Okay, yeah, the rain just hit Silverstone. Wow. The rain just hit Silverstone. Martin Brundle's on the grid with a massive umbrella above his head. And we've got AlphaTauri team members sprinting down the pit lane. Okay, well, there we go. It's official. Now, how are we going to start the race? What I would really like it to do, I think, is stop kind of soon. If it stops in the next 10 minutes, then we might get an inter-tyre start. I would like not to have a rolling start in an ideal world. But I think if it keeps raining like this, it's probably going to be a rolling start. I don't think it's going to be red flagged, but it probably is going to be a rolling start. Colm, you going to EWC? Good question. I'm going to try and figure that out in the next, let's say, week. Rain is bad for Max. Yeah, let's talk about that. Is rain bad for Max or not? I mean, objectively, the answer to that is yes, because he ran a very low rear wing setup. Let me find Max's quote on the matter. Here it is. Absolutely, we don't want rain, not with the wing we have on the car. We want it to be dry. I think Toby Gruner actually did a tweet showing the wing levels. So I just want to bring that up for you guys to kind of show you to such an extent of why the wing levels are so substantial. Yeah, here it is. So this is Yuki's rear wing, which initially when I saw this, I was like, oh, maybe they're giving Yuki more downforce to give him more confidence. Part of that is true. But also I think most teams have gone for kind of that level of wing, whereas Max is running, you know, I'm not going to call it Monza spec. It's not Monza spec, but like it's substantially less loaded, right? Substantially less loaded. And it seems to be working out. Thanks, Matthew. Welcome to the membership club, whatever I call it. Mick Schumacher member club. Oh, yeah, I've got Mick, Ralph, and Mike, haven't I? Something like that. So, yeah, of course. But Max is also excellent in the rain. So that is the real question. Yeah, he's got lower downforce. It shouldn't be good in the wet conditions. But at some point, it's probably going to dry up. Like, if we look at the weather forecast, again, it's Britain. Who knows? But let me hit the refresh. Let's see what's going to happen in the next hour. Again, my my technology is not as sophisticated as whatever they've got on the Sky Sports. But yeah, it's currently raining. Green is rain, and yellow, red is heavy rain, and this is moving through. So if I just go play here from 2:30, okay, so it's going to stop raining. Maybe it's going to stop entirely. Okay, I don't know. This forecast is saying that after this band of rain, there's no... Oh, ignore me. There is rain. It just didn't load. Okay, so let's take that with a pinch of salt. Probably it is going to rain a little bit more. Aaron says Ferrari are cooked. You know what? Let's do Ferrari. A couple of things I wanted to say on Ferrari. Because lots happened yesterday. I was roasting Andrea Stella for crying. But what we do have is two things. Firstly, there's this. So Vigna, who's like top dog at Ferrari, he's at a race for the first time in a while. And apparently he says they're thinking about renewing the contract with Mr. Fred Vasseur after all the drama about it. He also said, what else did he say? And it was here. Vigna said, I saw a united team. I am pleased. With Fred, we are discussing. We had lunch together. So that's a pretty big indication, right, from the top brass at Ferrari that they're going to keep Fred Vasseur on, which I think is the right decision. Getting rid of Fred Vasseur would be just indicative of terrible management. As much whether you like Fred Vasseur or not, it looks like he might stay because Vigna came along, and what he means by a united team, in my opinion, is he's talked to people and said, "Do you like Fred? Should we keep him?" And Hamilton's told him yes. Leclerc's told him yes. Probably a lot of the team have told him, yeah, we think Fred's the man for the job. That might be enough for Ferrari top brass to go and say it. Jack says, who's got the biggest wing? That is a tough question to answer. I can try for you, though, because I can try and look at some of the top speed data from qualifying yesterday, which isn't always perfectly accurate because sometimes you get a slipstream and stuff. But we can have a quick look at the numbers anyway to see what that looks like because... Oh, ignore me. Let me just zoom in. So while I try and find some data on top speed from yesterday, Ferrari look like they might keep their manager. So that's probably a relatively big deal. Okay, so we have top speed from qualifying. I'm sure that some of this has got to be slipstream related, but I will just share this real quick. So these were the top speeds in quali yesterday. Tsunoda was actually fastest, which is kind of confusing. Verstappen was only at 3:24. But let's just think about the front runners here. So Norris was only at 3:19. So Lando and presumably Oscar, they are definitely running a lot more wing. And it is raining in Silverstone. If you guys are just joining, it is raining, and it's raining pretty hard. I don't know if it's expected to rain forever. I think it's meant to stop. We're probably going to get a wet start and then some changeable conditions after that. So, I don't know, but we'll see. As Fred gets older, he will look more like... Yeah, you guys leave some crazy comments in here. It's raining at Silverstone. Lewis will probably get his 10th Grand Prix win. I don't know. I think it's difficult to imagine like how this could happen again. That like last year was so crazy at Hamilton won last year's race that this year it feels like, I don't know, it would be impossible to imagine it happening again, right? But crazier things have happened, maybe. Crazier things have happened. Ferrari are checking. Yeah, honestly, shout out you all. 1,600 viewers in here for the pre-show. I think it's the most we've had by far, so appreciate all the likes on the stream as well and all the support. Max is cooked, unfortunately, says Mike. He might be cooked, but it's still Max Verstappen, right? This is the question, isn't it? It's like any other driver in that car with that wing... Probably cooked, yeah, probably cooked. Max, I don't know. And he's got this. He's going to have the top speed, but obviously you can't get to the top speed if you come out of a corner and you have no grip. So there is also that. Okay, this is the thing I actually wanted to talk about with Ferrari real quick. So let me just spend 5 minutes on this before we get to talking back about the rain. Ferrari's Q3 was interesting because I know that Hamilton made that small mistake in the final couple of corners, which cost him probably a tenth and a half. You know, probably would have been good enough for the front row, he thinks. Probably not enough for pole. But both of the Ferrari drivers basically found no time, right? They were pretty much on the same in the final part of the lap. Whereas Piastri improved, Norris improved, Russell improved, Verstappen improved a lot. Those guys from Q2 to Q3. Thanks Titan Fighter for the 5. Iowa US sends its regards. Rain cancelled our dirt track final last night. Biggest prize of the year ended. No way. No way. That's unfortunate. Appreciate it. Thank you for the super chat. We will see if... Oh, my internet crashed again. What's good? Did I see a Rep Trafford Met in the chat? What is good? What is good, everyone? Okay, So what I wanted to say about Ferrari is that there's some sort of issue over there. I don't know if you guys saw this quote yesterday, but it was a very interesting quote from Charles Leclerc, who said, "Fred should be disappointed with my work. Once again, I have the impression that it's been a dozen races that I lose the feeling in qualifying and I don't put everything together. It's disappointing as it's one of my strengths." We have some problems with the car that for me in Q2 and Q3 are very difficult to manage. We unfortunately don't have solutions. Now, he went on to say, Leclerc, that there is something more in the car. I never talked about it, and believe me, it's better that I don't talk about it. Let's hope the solution comes soon. So this is one of the more intriguing quotes that I've seen all year, and I want to do like a deep dive into this in a video tomorrow, maybe the next day, I don't know. I'm sure we're going to hear more about this, because I'm sure that some of the Ferrari journalists out there know what's going on. And I know that Charles is having a bit of a mental breakdown here. So, that's what Ribbon has to say. I feel, pretty bad for him. It might have stopped. Oh no, is it still raining now? It looks like it's still raining a bit, but not as bad as it was. So maybe the rain's calming down a little bit at Silverstone. Brundle's currently doing his grid walk. But what's he talking about? What is Leclerc talking about? There's some issue in the car and it's better that I don't talk about it. I don't know what it is. I know that some people have seen this comment and said that Leclerc is, how do I say this exactly? That Ferrari tried to cheat and then they found out it doesn't work or something. I know that some have suggested that. There's no evidence for that, obviously. There was this report today from Formula Passion, who are probably my favourite Italian media, because I don't know if anything they say is ever true. But what they did say is, thanks, Kizar, for the 12 months membership. Look at you go. Lando WDC, thanks for the daily coverage. Thank you for the support. And yeah, Lando world champion. I don't know, he's not the favourite, but this is what I will say, right? I'm not especially a Lando fan exactly, but I am a Lando believer. Like I do believe in him, which sometimes is maybe a little delusional, but I think there's enough evidence for that. Anyway, Ferrari, apparently they could have an issue with their fuel delivery system, and again, Formula Passion might just be completely pulling this out of their ass. I don't know, but they say the problem especially appears in Q2 onwards, when the car is only just got enough fuel for a single lap, and in high-speed corners, the fuel is moving away from the pumps, causing a loss of power. And I like how even Formula Passion are saying, potentially, maybe, possibly that's what's happening. So like when the Italian press is saying that maybe it's happening, I don't know if it's actually happening, right? So it is what it is. Goofy Player says, bro, you only believe in Russell, stop the cap. You a George fan. I'm a fan of the drama, I want to see chaos, because that's what's good for business. So, and yeah, I have my favourite drivers. There's a bit of British bias in me, sure. I don't deny it. But, and I think it's more fun to have my opinions, because I like that I disagree with you guys disagree with me, and that's okay, right? That's okay. I'll try and be objective when it matters, and then I'll give my opinion when it matters. Stan says, Rab, do a poll on how many wins Max would have in a McLaren at this point in the season? That is a good question. I'll probably do that at a later date when we see, because I want to do a couple of other polls, and one of them is going to be who's going to win this Grand Prix. People say blue sky is coming. I can see some blue sky. Okay, we might get a standing start. Here. I think there's a decent chance of a standing start right now. Then we've got Nigel Mansell and Jackie Stewart on the grid. Look at that. I can't lie, you look a bit like Russell. I don't know what you're talking about. We know you're a Stroll fan. When Russell mopped the floor with the supposed GOAT last year, all this chat of haters anyway. F1 News Tactical Passport. Three-way battle into turn 2. This race is going to be peak. You're a Tifosi, Rab. You said it in the COD stream months ago. I don't know. Everyone likes Ferrari just a little bit. They like Ferrari just a little bit. Osama bin Russell going to take out the twin propeller in front of him. I want Russell on the podium for the mansion. If it's wet, we could get some drama. I think Antonelli's going to have to be a little bit careful going into the first corner. This was earlier, by the way. This was from Luke Browning, who's a Formula 2 driver. This is before they Grand Prix earlier. So F2, let's just say, they don't get the best garages in Formula 1. They don't have, the highest quality. Oh, we got Sebastian Coe on the grid as well. It's all going on out there at Silverstone today. But yeah, this was the view earlier from Luke Browning's garage. I don't think it's going to be that bad for the Grand Prix coming up soon. I just want to quickly head back over to the weather forecast and see what's going on here at the track. So this is telling me that it's still raining here, but it doesn't look like it's raining right now because I'm seeing Jeremy Clarkson without an umbrella. So I think it's stopped for the time being, which is probably good. I really would like a standing start. I think that's what we got to hope for. No delay, no red flag, no BS, standing start would be lovely. Because a standing start in the wet, in slippery conditions, doesn't get much better than that. Especially at this track. Oh my god, can't wait. It's going to be spectacular. Clarkson on the grids. K-Mag in the building, going to give some tips to Behrman. Behrman's going to have to pull off some insane terrorism to get from P18 to anywhere, but hopefully it happens. We'll see. We will see. We've got 20 minutes until the start of the formation lap, assuming that nothing is delayed. We are going to do a poll in the chat right now, and we're going to say who wins. And we're going to say, you know what we're going to do? We're just going to give 4 options. We're going to say Verstappen. We're going to say Norris. We're going to say Piastri. I'll put these in order of the current grid order. We're going to say Norris. And we're going to say Hamilton, because we've got to throw him in there. We've got to throw him in there. It just is what it is. Sorry, George, you missed out. You missed out. Leclerc missed out as well. But, we're just going to see what the chat has to say about that. How much delusion is in the chat today? That is my question. Jay for Funsies with the 5, thank you again. If Kimi takes that match turn 1 for Peter, we could build a statue. I think it's going to have to be the most generational start of all time from Kimi to do some damage on the first lap. Track drying up, says Jedi Clem. Yeah, the thing is, it will be drying up. But when the cars get to the track, it's going to be a lot of spray still. It's going to be, there's going to be a lot going on out there. It's not going to be dry tyres at the start, that's for sure. C Sizzle, appreciate the more relaxed version of you. Keep up the good work. Appreciate you. Thank you for joining. Stroll is going to whip all of you. Yeah. You know what? I'm a Stroll. Am I a Stroll believer? That's not really true. I'm not like a Stroll believer. But I think he's a bit better than people say. I will say that. I think Stroll isn't complete, he's not Latifi. But he's not great. And Alonso's outqualified him 24 times in a row. So there is also that. We've got a lot of delusional Brits in the chat here. Or a lot of delusional, Silverstone fans. Antonelli. That's what Drivit says. Zhou Guanyu wins. Man, Zhou's crash was crazy, was it not? Back in 2022. It was crazy because if his car caught fire, he was cooked. Literally he was cooked. So anyway, you guys know what I'm talking about there. Norris, no votes. Let's see. Damn, yeah, Norris actually getting cooked in the poll here. So we've got 32% for Max. We've got 40% for Lewis. Damn, we've got loads of votes flying in all the time. Piastri at 22%, and then Norris at 7%. I think Norris is, in my opinion, getting slightly underrated in these polls, just a little bit. Norris is pretty good in the wet, Sochi 2021 excluded. Let's not think about Sochi. But, apart from that, Ryo says, why are you trolling? Why is Hamilton on the poll? Look, you can't count him out. Silverstone, it's wet. 2008 regen, here we go. I don't know. But it's probably going to stop raining kind of soon. Then it's going to dry up. Damn, they got so many celebrities on this grid today. It's actually kind of crazy. But that's okay. That's what it is, baby. Send Stroll to F2. Norris will bottle it again. Norris needs to do some yoga before the race. Brazil 2024. Yeah, exactly. Brazil 2024. Well, actually, okay, yeah, that is true. That is actually kind of true. Brazil 2024 was not the best, to be fair. Yeah, that was pretty bad. That's pretty bad. But, Lando, the thing is, Lando's just kind of, his performances are just pretty bipolar. You never really know what you're going to get. But Norris is not good in the wet, fight me. I think we'll see. Hopefully we get to see today a little bit. But I think at some point, the rain's going to dry up. DRS is going to be open. The question at that point is probably whether Max is still going to be in the lead. Because Max, in dry conditions, is going to be really hard to overtake here. It's going to be really hard to overtake Max because he's just going to be absolutely rapid in a straight line. But we know that strategy is going to come down to it. Depends how long it rains for, because I will say, if they're on inters until lap like 20, they could try and go hards to the ends. They could try and go hards to the ends. Hopefully, my, let's say, delusional hope, inters until lap 15, 12, 15. Stick on a set of mediums for the next, like, 25 laps, and then it rains again. Back on the inters at the end of the race. Would be spectacular. Maybe there's a bit too much optimism in me there that that's actually going to happen. Bro, why is Ben Sulayem always trying to make himself the center of attention? Like, is this... This guy is such a clown, man. It actually pisses me off. Like, why is he there? Why is he always there getting in the shot? I will say, though, to Ben Sulayem's credit, he knows where the camera is. He bloody knows where the camera is. This guy can't be stopped. Like, you put a camera around, Ben Sulayem will find a way. He will find a way to be in there. Okay, it's currently not raining at Silverstone, but it's still wet out there. So hopefully this means a standing start. Hopefully it means a standing start. But you can see the track. I mean, I'm looking at the pit lane now. It is wet in the pit lane. It's going to be on inters. This could be perfect. You know, this could be pretty perfect for a spicy start to the race. We'll see. What else have we got to talk about? I'm going to go for another probably 10 minutes. And here's one. So Russell says, we're hoping for some good pace today to fight for the podium. The team made some changes from Friday to Saturday to improve the long run. And with this weather, we're hoping to be in the mix. Here we go. We've got the red arrows. I think the red arrows, just if you guys aren't from around the world, you don't know who the red arrows are. Let me just put a picture of what I've just seen on the broadcast here on the screen. Here we go. These are the red arrows. I think when they fly to Silverstone, they fly over where I'm from. Because I think I've seen it before. They fly over Colchester. I might be wrong about that. But I've seen the red arrows flying. I don't know if it was to Silverstone or to something else before. But I'm from Essex originally. And they fly, I think, all the way down maybe. That's probably actually completely wrong. But I have seen them before flying over Colchester to get to something. Anyway, that's a French flag. What do we think? French flag, like Gasly for the win? Isaac Hadjar for the win today? I think that's less likely. Okay, I'm going to end the poll. Congratulations, Lewis Hamilton. You are the winner, according to the chat. 40% Hamilton wins the British Grand Prix with Ferrari. I think the actual chances of that happening are like 15%. I'm going to give Hamilton a 15% chance to win. You run this race 8 times, Hamilton wins once. But not much more than that. Actually, I guess that'd be 1 in 7 times more. That'd be more accurate. Verstappen at 30%, Piastri at 21%, Norris at 7%. Mythic says MBS is the Benjay of Formula 1. I actually like Benjay though. That's the difference. That is the difference. So, okay, look, we got some delusional Ferrari fans in the chat, and that's okay. That's perfectly okay. The ponchos are coming off, 12 minutes until lights out, the umbrellas are off, and Max Verstappen is starting on pole position, and Red Bull might have played a masterclass again. It stopped raining just when they wanted it to stop raining, so we'll see about that. I saw this post as well. Drivers that have won rain-affected races since 2023, Max Verstappen, Lewis Hamilton, Lando Norris. What was the one that Lando won? Was it the Dutch Grand Prix last year? Was that rain-affected? Like, I'm trying to think in my head. Obviously, Lewis won Silverstone last year. Damn, we got the Qatar British Grand Prix guys back in the chat again. Unlucky, mate. Nice try. Nice try. Okay, obviously Max has won. He's won plenty. So, Ocon wins the British Grand Prix. Hamilton, Alonso podium say, oh, Australia. Yeah, sure, Australia. Obviously, that makes sense. Yeah, that is true. Don't know why that slipped the mind. Good shout, chat. Good shout. But yeah, it was a funny one because obviously he made a mistake, but then he locked in. That's the thing with Lando. Like, it was definitely not Russia. That is true. It's definitely not Russia. Antonelli going to win. Antonelli gonna get kicked out of his seat for Verstappen. That's what I'm hearing. Don't know. Antonelli feeling the pressure lately because Max is coming for that seat. We'll see. Carlos Sainz wins the Grand Prix. Oracle Maxwell F1 Racing Team. Absolutely. Going from wet to dry, you can't take that. Full dry is a different matter. You take it from Hamilton, don't be surprised if he gets to Lees. Keeping it into the full dry is a different matter. How many crashes today? I think we're going to see some drama out there. Like, we've got to see some drama out there. How many crashes, though? I'm going to say we're going to get... I'm feeling some drama at the front of the field today. I'm saying we get, like, 3 cars don't finish due to collisions. Is Colapinto crashing turn 1 or 2? I will say on Colapinto... He's starting from the pit lane. This is your starting grid, ladies and gentlemen, as the drivers get ready to go for this cool-down lap in about, or this reconnaissance lap to the grid, whatever, in about 8 minutes time, don't know what I'm yapping about. Verstappen on pole position ahead of the 2 McLarens of Piastri and Norris. Russell in P4, somehow stuck it there in a Mercedes. Hamilton 5th, Leclerc 6th. Maybe there's an outside chance for the Ferraris, but they're going to need a good start. They're going to need a good time. We will say, just quickly, the race pace of the Ferraris looked very strong on the Friday and mainly on the Friday afternoon. It looked strong. Russell says that they sacrificed a bit in qualifying to get better in the race. We'll see if that's true. Of course, all of those are only really relevant if it's dry. In the wet, who knows? Who knows? It's going to come down probably a fair bit to setup. The drivers with more downforce presumably are going to have a better time. That is not Max Verstappen for probably the first 10-15 laps while it looks like it's going to be pretty wet. But it is going to dry up, and there is, I don't know, that's how it looks right now, that it is going to dry up. Piastri, Norris 2nd and 3rd, Russell 4th, Hamilton, Leclerc, Alonso ahead of Gasly in P8. Gasly deserves a lot of credit, by the way. Like, this guy... Gasly's underrated. I don't care what you say. I mean, maybe he's not underrated. I think ball knowers respect Gasly, in my opinion. So maybe he's not underrated. Maybe he's fairly rated, because people do rate him. But still, you know what I'm saying. Sainz in 9th, Antonelli 10th after the 3-place pen. He qualified 7th, but he's down in 10th after taking out Max at the last race. Yuki up to P11, Hadjar in P12, Colapinto starting at the back of the grid. Behrman, of course, got the 10-place demotion, so he's down in P18, surrounded by Stroll and the Saubers, and Lawson's there in 15th, so yeah, we will see. Russell secretly sponsoring the show. I'm down, you know, George, if you want to have a little... I'll put a little picture of George Russell up in the top corner of the screen. Like, I don't know, I'm down. Little GR63 logo. 100 grand a month. Who says no? Who says no to that? That seems like a good deal. Where's Sonny Hayes? Sonny Hayes starting from P22, the Apex GP, and he's about to take about 14 minutes on his outlap on his run to the grid, so he gets warmer tyres. Wild Mountains ball knowers. What does that even mean? I should say wheel knowers. Sorry, that's the correct terminology for F1. Are you a wheel knower or not? Sid says, who's replacing Colapinto next race? I'd actually be kind of down to see Paul Aaron get a shot in the car. I don't think it's going to happen. I will say quickly, because I'm probably never going to say this in a video because it's such a small deal, but Colapinto just signed he signed a sponsorship deal with one of Perez's former sponsors. So that probably means something, I'll be honest. It probably means something, because Colapinto, as bad as he kind of is, he's still bringing in the bread. So that is what it is. I'm just having a quick scroll through Twitter to see if there's anything that I missed. One thing that apparently the risk of rain during the race is 60%. I will just say this real quick. This is Adrian Newey. You might not know that it's Adrian Newey because he's here in his raincoat, but look at it. Look at him go, inspecting the McLaren. This is just what he does, man. I actually love these pictures so much. It cracks me up. So here's Newey. It's fresh out of the factory at Silverstone. He's got his notepad. He probably can't write in it because it was raining, and he's looking at the McLaren. You can't stop this guy. You can't stop this guy. And we have about 5 minutes to go. So the final thing I wanted to do real quick is have a quick look back at the forecast to see what's going to happen, because F1 big data says that there's a 60% chance of rain during the race, because it's going to be a wet start, right? I mean, I can't see any other I mean, it's obviously going to be a wet start. It was raining about 20 minutes ago. It's pissing it down. Let me find the track again. Here we go. Okay, according to this, it's about to stop raining for a little bit, but then you've got this band of rain, which is maybe going to come through. Let me press play and see what happens here. So, hang on, I've lost the track again. Here we go. So, what are we at? 3 p.m? Let's have a look. 3:20, 3:20, 3:35, nothing, 3:40, 3:40. I'll just pause here, because a second ago it loaded more rain. I refuse to believe the rain's just vanished. I think my website might not be the best website I've ever used. Yeah, because then magically the rain appears again. You know what? I'm not trusting this site, because apparently at 4 p.m. it's now pissing it down again. So let's just see what happens, shall we? I think let's just see what happens. We have 4 minutes until the lap to the grid, and then the race is about to get underway. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a pleasure to speak with you all before this wonderful British Grand Prix. And you guys predicted in the chat Hamilton's about to win. I'm not so convinced. If I have to predict a winner, I'm taking Max. I gotta do it. Okay. Use windy app. People are saying I'll find a better weather app for next time. Next time this happens, I'll find a better weather app. I think that was probably the best pre-show that we've ever done. We topped out at like 1,600 viewers, tons of likes on the stream, and I'm about to go watch this hopefully wonderful British Grand Prix with no red flags and no delays and maybe some safety cars and maybe a surprise champion coming to the top of the grid. We shall find out. But yeah, thanks all for tuning in. Enjoy the Grand Prix, and I'll be back with a video in a couple of hours to break it all down. Take care. Have a good day.